Hey, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Cold Blooded Serial. I am your host and true crime bestie, Tika. This is part 2 of episode 3, Monster Michelle. On the first half of episode 3, you all heard about the extreme and creative abuse that Shelly Knotek placed upon her children, especially Nikki, her first daughter, and her nephew, Shane. All right, friends, it is December of 1988, somewhere around the week of Christmas, and Shelly, who is now 34 years old, announces 2 things to her family. 1, her hairdresser and best friend, Kathy Loreno, who is 36 years old, is going to be moving in, and 2, Shelly is pregnant with her 3rd baby. Dave is like, yes. He's like, it's a miracle that you're pregnant because you've had cancer for the last 5 years. And, God is just so good to allow your body to produce a child. It's truly a Christmas miracle, Shelly. Shelly's like, what can I say, Dave? Like, I'm just so perfect. Shelly and Dave, they're like made for each other because they're both crazy. But Dave is like, Shelly, we're struggling because you don't work. You just brought your nephew here. Now you're pregnant, and now you have your best friend living here with us. And I'm the only one working. Shelly's like, listen, Dave, I already told Kathy not to worry about anything. She's going to help me with this baby. And you're just going to continue to work and support us all, Dave. Be a man. Shut up and go work those 80 hours, okay? Why else did I marry you, huh? So to the kids, Shelly appeared to be rescuing Kathy from an old life that she didn't want anymore. Kathy was extremely appreciative of the Knoteks taking her in rent-free, and the only thing she has to do is help Shelly during this pregnancy and, after the baby's born. Shelly tells her family, hey, Kathy's family doesn't want her. She needs a place to live, and she's going to help me with the baby like a midwife. Friends, Kathy has no medical experience at all, no medical background, nothing to support this idea of her helping Shelly as a midwife. She is only a hairdresser. Kathy at first is a little hesitant to move in. She's like, what's the catch? So Shelly, being the master manipulator that she is, she's like, Kathy, you need to stay with us. It'll be so much fun. Plus, I really need you. Like everyone else who has fallen prey to Shelly, everything was good in the beginning. Kathy worshipped Shelly. She hung on to Shelly's every word. Shelly has like a predatory skill where she can like sniff out those who she can easily manipulate. I don't know how, but when she met her husband, she knew that he's going to be the one to do whatever it is that she says. Kathy was her hairdresser, so I'm pretty sure that the conversations they had, Shelly's like, oh yeah, soon as the opportunity arises, I'm going to talk her into living with us. And that's exactly what happened. So a little background about Kathy. Kathy's younger sister says that Kathy was a people pleaser and a very nice person. Guys, this is not the type of person that should be hanging around Shelly Knotek. So life for Kathy was going well until she stopped receiving as many clients in the salon, which obviously means less money. So she ends up losing her job and has to move back in with her mom. Unfortunately, she's struggling to find a job. She uses the last of her savings to help her mom pay for like some back taxes that she owed on the house. And her mom was like, you know what, Kathy? I know you just helped me keep my house, but you need to start paying me rent. Kathy didn't have a way to pay her mom. And sometimes the universe sends someone your way to help you. And for Kathy, this person was unfortunately her good friend, Shelly Knotek. And moving in with Shelly Knotek would be Kathy's downfall. All right, so friends, let's talk about Shelly and her cancer, okay? Because Dave is fully convinced that his wife has cancer. And remember, in episode 2, she tells him that she has cancer and might not make it to 30. She's 34 now. So one day, out of the blue, Lara receives a phone call from Shelly. Shelly's like, well, stepmom, it's confirmed. I have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Lara breaks down. She's crying, heartbroken. Despite their years of differences, she doesn't wish cancer on anyone. A few days later, Shelly calls back and she's like, hey, stepmom. Well, the doctors were wrong. It wasn't lymphoma, but it's cancer of the pituitary glands. Lara is like, wait, how the heck did these doctors confuse what type of cancer you have, Shelly? And Shelly's like, I don't know, but I've been having cancer for over 5 years now, and I don't know how they confused it, but they did. It's just my luck. So of course, Lara is like, Shelly does have a history of lying about everything just to get attention. Would she actually lie about cancer? Lara confronts Shelly about this, and she's like, Shelly, I think you're lying. Shelly gets defensive. She hangs up. Dave and Kathy call Lara like, how dare you say that Shelly's lying about having cancer? I've been to her appointments. She definitely has cancer. So Lara is like, Dave, were you actually like in the room when the doctors are giving her chemo or, talking to her about like what's going on? And Dave's like, no, Shelly's a proud woman. She doesn't want me to come there. She just has me wait in the waiting room for 8 to 10 hours while she's getting her treatment. Lara tells the author, he's there sitting in the waiting room. I don't doubt that. Dave's not a liar. But Shelly, she probably went out that back door to go to the movies or out to lunch or shopping. I don't know for sure, but knowing Shelly, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Dave tells Lara how he has never even seen a doctor's bill come to the house. So Lara is like, Dave, when a patient has cancer, the doctors want the families involved. You would have received multiple hospital bills for her cancer treatments. And Dave's like, no, my Shelly wouldn't lie to me. So Lara pays Shelly a surprise visit. And when Shelly opens the door, her face is painted white. Friends, not the complexion of a white person. I mean, like it's literally painted white, like the color of snow. So Lara starts laughing, like, what the heck? She's like, Shelly, what's going on? And Shelly's like, it's the cancer. So Shelly shaves off her eyebrows to really play this sick person just for attention, because that's all she's doing it for. Let's fast forward to June 1989. This is when Shelly's last daughter, Tori Knotek, was born. Friends, I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'm going to say it again. Nothing good and no happiness lasts around Shelly. Not even the joy of having a newborn baby in the house. So they bring Tori home, and Shelly's telling everyone that Tori was a preemie with underdeveloped lungs. Dave was thankful for Kathy being there because he didn't know that she was just a hairstylist. He thought she was a nurse who could help Shelly and his premature daughter. Mind you, the doctor never told Dave that Tori had underdeveloped lungs. This is just something that Shelly made up. Why? No one knows. So they're back at home, and Shelly announces in a dramatic fashion, oh my God, you guys, Tori has stopped breathing. But as her savior, guess what? I was able to revive her. Where were you all? Not reviving the baby, that's for sure. Luckily, I was here. Listen, I'm 99% sure that the baby never stopped breathing. If she did stop breathing, let me tell you why. One time, Nikki is 14 years old. She comes downstairs to find her mother holding a pillow over Tori's face. Sound familiar? I think it was episode 2 where Nikki woke up unable to breathe because there was a pillow over her face. And who was standing right there in the room? Shelly. And now Nikki is witnessing her doing this to her newborn baby sister. Shelly quickly turns around and she's like, she's okay. Friends, like, what the heck? All right, so Kathy, up to this moment, has been living a great life. And we all know that it was bound to change one day. And friends, this is when the honeymoon fades away. Kathy begins to fade away. Her bubbly personality fades away right in front of Shane's eyes, Dave's eyes, Nikki's eyes, and Sammy's eyes. What Shelly likes to do is control the communication and make it difficult for her victim to maintain contact with their family and friends, so they're easier to control. She isolated Kathy so that Kathy was forced to depend on her. And whenever Kathy would displease Shelly, Shelly would grab whatever was handy and would hit her hard. Kathy would cry and sometimes threaten to leave. But Shelly, being the queen of gaslighting, she'd be like, hey, you forced me to do that. Like, I didn't want to do that. Kathy, please don't make me do that to you again. I need to count on you. Don't argue with me. Just do what I need done. So if you do that, then I won't punish you. Honestly, no matter what Kathy or anyone else does, Shelly will never be pleased. And just like Nikki, Kathy would apologize, although she didn't do anything to deserve any of the abuse that she was receiving. All three of her older kids watched, wondering why Kathy was still here, because Kathy's a grown woman, and it's like, why are you taking mom's abuse, right? So one day Shane tells Nikki, your mom is a freaking freak, and Kathy is stupid to put up with her. Nikki agreed, but she also knew that having Kathy around took the heat off of her, at least a little bit. It gave her some relief, but it also made her sad because no one deserved to be treated the way her mother treated Kathy or any of them. The abuse against Kathy escalated to the point where the kids witnessed Shelly and Kathy in a fist fight. But of course, Shelly got the best of Kathy. And of course, Kathy apologized to Shelly at the end. So one day, Kathy did something to upset Shelly. And Shelly's like, you know what? Kathy needs to learn how to live with less. And what does that mean exactly? It means that Shelly would begin confiscating items that Kathy brought to her house. First, it started off with little things like, oh, you pissed me off because, maybe you coughed and forgot to cover your mouth. Well, I'm going to remove your pictures. Oh, I had to repeat myself. Well, no more vinyl records for you, Kathy. I told you to wash the dishes and you forgot to rinse all of the soap off of one single plate. No more knitting supplies for you, Kathy. Friends, there's no amount of abuse that's enough for Shelly. She begins to confiscate Kathy's clothes and underwear, leaving poor Kathy to walk around completely naked in front of Shelly, in front of the children, and in front of David, both inside the house and outside the house. Yeah, friends, this bitch was crazy. I told you it was going to get worse. I was not lying. It just keeps getting worse. Just like she did to Shane and her children, Kathy can no longer take baths or showers unless Shelly approves it in advance. Eventually, Shelly's like, you know what, Kathy, I'll give you showers often, but you won't be using the shower inside of our bathroom. Like, no, you're too gross. We'll hose you down. So she would turn on the garden hose no matter what the weather was. And instead of using soap, she would pour bleach onto Kathy. Yeah, bleach in the hose in the summertime or in the winter. It didn't matter. And then after these harsh punishments, Shelly would tell Kathy, Kathy, it's not okay to hurt you. Kathy, I won't let anyone hurt you. I love you. I'll keep you safe. Like, what? You're the one hurting me. Like, what are you talking about? So Greg Olson says that the children inhabited a world in which looking the other way kept them safe from their mother, but led them to accept things that would haunt them forever. So even though they're not being physically abused right now, the mental abuse is still there because they're witnessing all of this horror. Like it's a real life horror movie, Living with Shelly Knotek. So if the bleach in the hose wasn't enough abuse, Shelly began withholding food and basic necessities from Kathy, which caused her health to deteriorate. Listen, I'm not sure how much Kathy weighed when she first moved in. She was like a plus-size woman, but within the few years that she lived with the Noteks, she lost 100 pounds. And her skin was bruised. Her dental work began to fail. And her hair, her beautiful locks, was cut off by Shelly. Shelly's daughters watched in horror as their mom put a bowl on Kathy's head and cut off all of her hair. And they watched as Kathy silently cried. Shane tells Nikki, your mom is fucking crazy. Kathy's scared shitless of her just like we are. And he was right. Shelly is a master manipulator, a torturer, an abuser. And she knows how to mentally break someone in order to control them. Honestly, though, I'm still having a hard time understanding why the adults allow this. Like, why did Dave stay and why did Kathy stay before it got to the point where she couldn't leave? So, late one winter night, Kathy did something to upset Shelly, and Shelly and Dave brought Kathy outside naked in the freezing cold. Kathy is crying, begging to go back in the house. And Shelly's like, just do what we tell you, Kathy. Do you have to make everything so hard for me? Yeah, Shelly, like she's making things hard for you just because she doesn't want to be outside in the freezing cold naked. That's making things hard for you. Dave, of course, didn't say a word. He just nudged Kathy to the top of the hill and she slid down, crying. When she got to the bottom, Shelly says, get up here, Kathy. Get back up here. The children, the three oldest, watch as Kathy crawls up to the top of the hill, covered in snow, and she's completely naked, okay? Soon as she gets back up to the hill, she slides right back down. Nikki and Sammy tell the author that this torture lasted for what seemed like hours. In the dim light from their kitchen window, it was clear that her bottom had been scraped raw by the icy crystals of the snow. The following morning, Nikki, Shane, and Sammy went outside, and the snow was bloody all the way down the hillside like a big red stripe. Nikki and Sammy had to hold back their tears for fear that their mom would see. Friends, they're living with the devil. That was like the year of 1989. We're going to fast forward to 1992. This is the year that Kathy began running away. And unfortunately, each time she was caught and brought back. For weeks at a time, Shelly made Kathy live in their pump house, which I didn't know what that was until I Googled it. So it's basically a small shed that's meant to hold a water pump, which looks like a water tank. And it's only about 4 feet by 4 feet. Kathy is 5'9", and I'm sure this was probably the most uncomfortable spot that any person could live. Shelly's last torture method for Kathy was to feed her rotten food from the refrigerator that she would blend and make Kathy drink it. Kathy's hands trembled as she took the glass and looked at its brown and gray contents. Shelly kept her eyes fixed on Kathy. She's like, isn't that delicious? And Kathy, of course, is like whimpering. She's like, it's delicious. Thank you, Shelly. It wasn't long before Kathy's breathing was labored. She could barely stand. Her eyes seemed cloudy, and her skin was a map of swollen red tributaries. Every mark told a story of how Kathy had made Shelly angry. In July 1994, 5 years since Kathy moved in, Dave came home one evening. He goes to the basement and he sees Kathy struggling to breathe as she threw up. He rushed to give her CPR, yelling that she's not breathing. Of course, Shelly acted as if Kathy was okay. He tells the author, I know I should have called 911, but with everything that had been going on, I didn't want the cops there. I didn't want Shell in trouble or the kids to go through that trauma. Oh, you wanted to keep them from the trauma of their mom being arrested? Not the trauma of abuse, but the trauma of the cops coming and putting handcuffs on your wife. That's the trauma you wanted to protect your children from? Dave, you're a freaking idiot. A few days later, Dave lit a fire in the fire pit where they usually burnt their trash. and him and Shane carried her lifeless body to the pit, cremating her. Shelly blamed her death on natural causes because, of course, it's not her fault. Nothing ever is and nothing ever has been. And after Kathy's death, she looks at Shane and she says, "If you tell anyone, we will pin it all on you, Shane." The kids look at each other, mouths open, like, what? Like, Shane, that's who you're going to blame it on? Shane stands up and he's like, "That's bullshit. I didn't do anything." "It doesn't matter, Shane. That's what we're going to do. We'll say that you killed her." And despite his promises to keep his mouth shut, Shane was smart enough to know that in time, Shelly would turn on him. So now, with Kathy being gone, she ramped up the punishments and came up with a new torture method for Shane and Nikki, which is called naked exercising. So she would have them do naked jumping jacks outside in the winter, or like run around the house in the middle of the night until they collapsed. As Shane got older and bigger, he began pushing back and letting everyone know what he was thinking. Dave began staying away more. Every time he did come home, though, Shelly's like, "Hey, you need to do something about Shane because he's going to rat on us." Dave's like, "Babe, Shane would never do that to us. He's family. He loves us." Shelly's like, "You know what? I need to come up with some type of proof that will make him do something to Shane." So Dave leaves. He comes back a couple months later. Shelly meets him at the door. Her face was red and it seemed like she was crying. She lifts up something small in her hand. She's like, "I found them in the woodshed, Dave," holding up a pair of bloody panties. Shane must have hidden them there. Dave looks at them. They're tiny little girl underwear belonging to little Tori, who is about 4 or 5 at this point. Dave's like, "No, it can't be." She's like, "Dave, they're Tori's. Shane's abusing our baby. You have to do something, Dave." Dave's like, "No, Shelly, I can't. No, Shane would never do that to Tori." She's like, "Dave, you have to do something." So no one believed Shelly, but she pushed the matter so much that Dave beat Shane badly. And the next morning, a swollen and battered Shane told Nikki that this was his final straw and he was leaving with or without her. She tried to convince him to stay. But the next night, Shane wasn't there. And she was like, "It's weird that he's not sleeping in my closet tonight." Well, the following morning, Dave asks, "You kids hear anything last night?" Shelly asks, "Any noises at all?" First of all, those questions sound sketchy as hell. But neither Sammy, nor Tori, nor Nikki heard a peep. Nikki just remembered that when she went to bed, Shane was not in the closet where he usually slept. But Shelly and Dave didn't kill Shane, right? He just ran away. That's what Shelly told everyone, that Shane ran away to Alaska because that's where he has always wanted to visit. Dave tells the author and the cops later on, and he also burnt his body and took the ashes and threw it into the ocean. All right, friends, this is the end of episode 3. In episode 4, we'll talk about her final victims and how she is finally caught and how justice is somewhat served. Please let me know what you think. Please like, share, and follow, and stay tuned for episode 4. Stay safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.